Hello and welcome back. In the previous video we went over the analyst, which helps you brainstorm and kind of come up with ideas on new or existing projects. If you're curious where a lot of this documentation is, if you go under Bmad core, you'll actually see a user guide, and if you right click on it and go open preview, you will see documentation that not only explains things but has a nice diagram. As you can see, before we did kind of the analyst, we can either help with brainstorming or market research, competitor analysis, and then eventually want to create a project brief. From that project brief, you typically hand things over from your analyst to your project manager. You kind of see how I have it broken down here. You have kind of your analyst for the beginning, for scoping things out, and the objective is to create the project brief. After that, you hand that to your project manager, and it's kind of to create strategy and kind of prioritize what features you want to enable or what things you're trying to accomplish, and that eventually creates a PRD.MD. And then eventually you're going to hand that off if you're doing a UI for your UI, and then your architect, and so on and so on. But we'll go over those in the future. So back to the project manager. So in the previous video, we created a brief.md. I want to now work with my project manager. So I'll do the @ PM. You can see PMMD. And then I'm going to type *help and see what commands are available to me. So project manager agent. So generally, for the most part, if it's a new project, you're going to want to do a create PRD. If it's from an existing project that you've already kind of worked on, these are kind of what brownfields are. Brownfield is, you'll sometimes hear the term greenfield and brownfield. Greenfield is a new project, and a brownfield is an existing project that you're looking to work on. So these are more in relation to if you're wanting to work on existing projects. But primarily you're going to mostly be using create PRD. In the future, as you get more comfortable with this system, you can kind of manually create epics and stories, but right now let's kind of keep it simple and just stick with create PRD. Additionally, also these are going to create some quite large documents in markdown file format. That's kind of what some of these other commands down here are for. Starting out is so that it will take a huge, I don't know, like 200-page document and break it down to several one-page documents that go over just specific tasks. So you can pull into your context window what exactly you want to work on. So for example, say you're working on the database backend, this will shard out of your PRD and your architecture only the database information for your architect to kind of analyze and build off of, or your developer, etc. Course correction, that's if you're trying to change what you're trying to do. If you got halfway or 90% of the way through this project and you want to completely change what you're working on, that's kind of what this course correction is. YOLO mode, it's kind of like if you're in a rush and a hurry and it's a really quick project and you just tell it to make some assumptions. So we're going to start with @ PM, the project manager, and tell it we want to create a PRD. It's going to automatically look for the docs directory and the brief.md that we've already created in our previous analyst. And you can see here it goes over a lot of information, but we're going to do that. Remember, I'm tagging that at project manager, so @ PM, and then create PRD. So as you see here, it's reading about creating the PRD project. It's reading the template, it's reading our existing brief, and then it's kind of going through all the context. It's kind of reverting back or creating a PRD.MD and kind of see here, functional requirements, all the things that we want in our functional requirement, and detailing it all. So now we can say some of this is incorrect. We can type in this box saying what's wrong with it, or if not, as you can see down here, it's kind of going to go over various sections in the future. It's going to go over stakeholders, it's going to go over journey mapping, technical debt analysis, user feedback, risk assessment, impact. These are all kind of steps that's going to go through. And let me go back to that documents, user guide. So part of that PRD process, it's going to go over the project brief and then ask a bunch of questions. It's going to kind of do this interactive mode. You can just kind of do like a fast track mode if it's a really simple project, but this PM mode is going to really extrapolate exactly what you want by asking you a bunch of questions and then kind of making some assumptions and having you validate those assumptions. So for now, we're just going to proceed to the next intersection. Project Manager, as always. And then we can just press 1, proceed to next section. And see what it comes out with. Perfect. It's talking about the user design based on, and as you can see, all this stuff it's going over. If it has any questions, it can ask you. See, it's got all these questions out here. Are there any, like, can do, there are no considerations needed in the UI for this process. I don't want to do any batch processing. See, I'm kind of answering these questions here. If you're curious, both Windows and Mac have voice to text. For Windows, it's just Windows plus H. And on Mac, there's a little microphone keyboard that's how I'm doing the voice to text here. Go ahead and proceed to the next section. So now it's going to ask me technical assumptions. Yep, I definitely want it to be a monorepo. It's asking me more things. I'm not going to make you sit through all of this, but essentially once you get through all of these steps, it's usually about 9 steps. Then once it's done, it's going to it's going to give you an option for creating a PRD. You want to go ahead and create that PRD, .md file. It will automatically do it, and it should create it in this directory here. Yeah, let's just kind of go through this quickly. I'm just going to tell it 1 on all of these. It's not ideal, but you know what? We'll just do that. So it's not going through the epic list, breaking it all down into epics. You can see each section, it's been asking me questions that I should answer and just kind of, and then proceed to the next section. But right now, just for time's sake, I'm just kind of skipping to the next section, just to kind of teach and show you. So now we're next on the questions and feedback. So now it's doing a breakdown of the different foundation assessments, tons of stuff. So it's got risk assessment and planning. So it's got 3 stories now. And yep, let's just go ahead and go to the next section. Normally you do want to actually go through all this, just for, like I said, for this video purpose. I'm just kind of skipping through just to kind of generate a document to kind of show you how it looks at the end. So like I said, respond to all this stuff, usually in a single text window, not like multiple texts. Like for example, say up here it had 4 or 5 questions. You wouldn't want to type a response and then hit this. You wouldn't want to type a response. Normally what I do, I'll type a response that explains what question I'm kind of answering, and then I'll have shift enter to go to the next line. Type the response to the question, etc. That's kind of how I like to work. All right, but moving on back to Project Manager, let's go ahead and continue to the next section. So it's breaking down all of this. Now it's in this story 3, navigation and cleanup, UI UX, nice clean front ends. All right, let's continue to the next portion. As you can see, this creates an extremely robust document for what you're trying to do. Now it's going over testing and validation for your project requirements document, security and performance testing. Is it all this is kind of auto-generating a lot of these answers because I kind of skipped through all of it, but you get the general idea so far. I think this should be the last one, or maybe one more. Yeah, creating documentation, user communication of rollouts, stuff like that. All right, and I think there's only one more after this. So you see how we kind of went through all 9 steps. Now to the point, excellent. Now let's create all of this, all the results. Now it's asking, would you like me to output the PRD now? So let's tell it, yep. go ahead and output the full PRD.md now, please. As you see, it's going over extreme detail over a very basic application, but with this extreme detail, it makes sure that the AI doesn't hallucinate on the part of when it's creating the application. Now we want to make sure it writes the file. As you see on the left side, it hasn't written the file yet, so let's go ahead and write this PRD to file. It's putting in the correct location. As it took it a moment, I kind of paused the video, but one other thing I wanted to go over is keep in mind also, I had it on auto. You can actually change this to smarter models based on which agent you're using. Sometimes with the project manager, I like to make it a smarter model. Normally I'll choose like Gemini or Grok or Claude or even ChatGPT 5. But as you can see now, it created a PRD. So as you can see, it's quite lengthy and robust. So that's quite a long file, but it's about to get a lot longer with architecture. So back to the diagram that shows kind of where we are in this process. If we go back to Bmad core, go to user guide, you can see that we've done a project idea, done an analysis of it, did a project brief, and now we need to decide if we want to do a UI with it, with a UI agent, or we can technically, on some apps, you don't need it. If it's like an API, you can skip this step and just go straight to the architect. And the architect will read from your brief and your PRD on the next steps. And we'll go over that in the next video. Thank you.